Hey, welcome back to Designing for WordPress. So, what exactly is WordPress? Well, simply put, it's a blogging platform. A blog is usually an informational website, and it's presented in the form of a collection of entries called posts, which are displayed usually in a reverse chronological order. So, the idea is when you visit a blog, you'll always see the most recent entries or posts. So where can you use a blog? Well, it depends on what kind of content you have. You can use it pretty much anywhere. If you have certain products that you're selling, you might have a blog where you write tips and tricks on how to use them, or maybe you write a presentation for that product separate from what you have on the website. Or maybe you're a chef and you want to share a bunch of recipes with the world. Well, a blog can be used here very effectively. And that's what WordPress does. It allows you to create this online platform on which you can share information. Or at least that was the original function. As I was saying in the introduction lesson, WordPress has grown a lot lately, but the thing is, if you want to understand the more advanced parts of WordPress, you gotta start with the basics. So first things first, let's see how a typical WordPress blog looks like.
Okay, so here I have a basic WordPress installation to which I've added a number of posts and pages just to demonstrate the concept of a blog. And a blog, as I was saying earlier, is a collection of posts displayed in reverse chronological order. So the newest entries will be displayed first. Now let me make this a tiny bit smaller so you can see it as a whole, because this entire box here is an entry or a post. And it's very clear because its background contrasts very well with the background of the page. So the entry has a title, in this case template sticky, the content, and then some meta information like the author, some tags, and an edit link. If we scroll further down, we can find another entry, again with a title, content, and meta information. Here, in addition, we have the date on which it was published and the number of comments. And comments will separate a typical website from a blog, because on a typical website, you can't really input anything. It's basically presentation, but on a blog, you can comment on posts and on pages. So let's actually click on this post and see how it looks like. Inside, you're going to find, of course, the same kind of information as the previous page. But in addition, we have another section for comments. So we see one comment here with the author, the date, the comment body, and a reply link. And then further down, it's the comment form. So if you want to reply to this, simply hit the reply button. This is a reply. You're going to post your comment. And now you have two comments on that post. It's that easy. You can do the same with pages. So if we scroll further down until we find the pages here, if I go to the sample page, this again has a title, it has a content, and then a section for comments. So I'm going to leave a comment here. I'm going to post it. And now we have one comment for the pages. Now, there is a big difference between pages and posts, because posts can be organized into categories and they can have tags. So you can attach certain keywords to them. Like, say you're writing a blog post about a recipe that uses lobster. Well, one of the tags would be lobster, and the other may be recipe. Well, pages don't have that. You cannot categorize them, and you cannot add tags. Now, if we scroll further down, we're going to find more blog posts. And then at the very end, we're going to have a pagination area, which takes us to different pages, because you can have a large number of posts in your blog and you don't want to show them all in a single page. So instead, you would split them into multiple pages. Now, on the left side, you're going to find something that's called a sidebar. And the sidebar contains widgets. Widgets will display individual bits of information about your blog. So in this case, we have an archive list, which is basically a list of all the months and years in which we have published posts. And then we have a calendar, a list of all the categories for our blog posts, a list of all of our pages, a list of links that will allow us to access the site admin, to log out, and also access to RSS, some recent comments. You can see here the 2 comments that I just made, some recent posts, and then an RSS feed. And finally, some other widgets like Tech Cloud and a nav menu. Now, this is a very simple blog structure, and I chose this exact blog because of its simplicity, and it shows you kind of all the elements that you can find in a blog. Now, if you search the web, you're going to find blogs that look completely different because they're using a different theme, but that's a discussion for a later lesson. But for now, this is what you must know about the structure of a typical blog.
Now, this is what's called a front end. It's what the visitor sees. But how do you add more content, and how do you control how the front end looks like? Well, for that, you need access to the back end or the admin user interface. That can be accessed via username and password, so let's have a brief look at it.
This is what the login screen looks like. You basically need a username and a password to access the WordPress backend. So I'm going to do just that. And the first thing you see here is a dashboard. And the dashboard will offer you information about your WordPress blog, like how many posts, how many comments you have, how many pages, what version of WordPress you're using. You also have the options to create very quick drafts or posts. And then on the left side, you're going to find a list of all the tools you need to create content. For example, you can create new posts, new categories, new tags. You can add media like audio, images, videos. You can create and manage pages. You have access to comments. So let's create a new post here, for example. Here, if I click on new post, you can see a list of all of the posts. And then if I hit add new, I can give it a title, new post, and some content. And then all I need to do is hit publish. And that will immediately appear in my post list. Now, the only reason you're seeing this first is because it's a sticky post, which means it will always be placed on top of all the other posts. Let's see about categories. You can see a list of all of the categories here, and you can add new ones, you can delete existing ones, and you can do the same with the tags. Now, some of the tags you see here are bigger than the others, and that's because they're used in more posts than the others. So for example, this 8-bit tag is only used once, but this formats tag, if we do a search for it, is used 16 times. Next, it's the media, and you can see all of the media files here. You can click on each one, find out information, change information like adding a caption, for example, and you can browse through all of your attached media. You can also add a new one by pasting in an URL or selecting it from your computer. Then for pages, again, you can add new page, you can modify or delete existing ones. And then for comments, you have the option to unapprove a comment. If someone comes and places a comment on your site that's either spam or offensive, you can simply spam it, delete it, or unapprove it altogether. And if you unapprove it, it won't show up on the front end. Next, it's the Appearance tab. Now, in Appearance, you control how your website looks like by choosing a new theme, by adding widgets to the various widget areas. So basically what you need to do is say, well, I want a calendar in my widget area. Simply drag and drop. And you have a new calendar here at the bottom. If we refresh and scroll all the way down, you can see that we've added a calendar. Then you can play around with the menus, with the header. WordPress supports header images. And then you have access to plugins, which are like extensions to your WordPress site. Users will control who has access to your backend. And then you have a couple of settings, which you can use to customize your WordPress blog even further, like decides how many posts you want to show at once, how many comments you can show, and things like that. So these sections help you do that. Now, the last thing I want to show you is the WordPress bar, and it's this one on the top. Now, this is present in both the backend and the front end if you're logged in. So currently I'm logged in as admin, and I have the sticky bar, which gives me a few options for creating new posts, media page, new user, check out the comments, and also access the backend menu. So that's pretty much all you need to know right now about the WordPress backend.
All right, that's a very quick tour of WordPress. Now, here are 2 key points you need to remember from this lesson. First, WordPress is a content management platform. You can use it to create blogs or more complex websites like forums and e-commerce. Second, each WordPress site has a front end, which is the content a visitor sees, and a backend, which can be accessed via username and password. And the backend controls the content as well as the look and functionality of the website. Now, next time on Designing for WordPress, you'll learn about themes, and these are essential to any WordPress site. Thanks for watching. See you next time.